Hi everybody, Shane here at the Brick House, back again with another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Orca boat from the famous movie Jaws. This is a 1,235 piece MOC created by Arconoide, and the instructions cost about 12 British pounds, which was about $15 US. Now this boat is from the movie Jaws. It is actually the first movie I saw as a child. When I was young, in the summer of 1975, we used to have these movie theaters. They were called drive-in movie theaters, and they were these outdoor movie screens where you would drive your car into the theater. You'd roll down your window and you'd attach a speaker onto the car window, and you would watch the movie inside your car, and then you would go to the concession stand and buy your popcorn. And this was the first movie I saw. As I said, it was June of 1975. I was 4 years old. Don't know if it's the movie a 4-year-old should go to see, but it actually is the movie that started the summer blockbuster phenomenon. It was considered the first summer blockbuster, and it's probably one of the best movies ever made. And so today I'm going to be reviewing this MOC that I put together. So let's get into it. So what we have here is the Orca. This was the vessel that was used to hunt the shark in the first Jaws movie. This boat is actually not a fishing boat. It's actually a lobster boat. During the original movie, they bought a used lobster boat and turned it into a fishing vessel. I used to work on a lobster boat in high school one summer, and the boat looks very much like this, where you have a large deck in order to bring up all of the cages and take all the lobsters out. So this is a lobster boat, which is technically a kind of fishing boat, but it is not a true fishing vessel for shark, bluefin, and the like. Now, as a child, I used to put together model boats made out of balsa wood, and building the hull of a boat is one of the most satisfying things. You build kind of a rib cage of the boat and then put the shell around it. And this build was similar, where of course you build the hull, and there's nothing underneath here. It's really just the hull used to support it, and there is no stepping down into the lower deck. This was one of the most satisfying builds I've built in a long time. There wasn't anything that was too repetitive, and I was really excited to build this. Another great building technique is, as you can see here, to build the angles of the ship, there are clips right here that clip in. Then they also clip into the inner workings of the hull. So you have these really smooth lines that really make it look like a ship, which is some of the best ship work I've ever seen. Now that I've built quite a few MOCs usually aren't to the same quality of a Lego set, obviously, because a Lego set has a master builder, and it also has engineers and designers working to make sure that it all fits together as smoothly and cleanly as possible. So MOCs are usually less accurate than a Lego set. I can say that this is by far one of the best constructed, or one of the closest things to a real Lego set as far as a MOC that I've put together. Except for a few instances, this could easily pass as a Lego set created by Lego. So you build the hull of the ship, and you build this really nice angle, and then you start building the deck of the boat. And here on the pulpit, this is usually where an anchor might drop down, or someone can stand out to harpoon a fish or do a lookout. And this is where Quint actually stands out with his rifle, trying to put a spear into the shark so that these barrels can attach and slow down the fish. Basically what happens is these barrels obviously make it harder for the fish to submerge and tires the fish out, because it has to pull this barrel through the water. And that's usually how shark hunters and blue marlin and other fishermen actually tire out a giant fish. And so the accuracy of this is really well done. There are a lot of details in this model which are absolutely fantastic. This pulpit is great, and maybe the one flaw, or the one thing that was really hard to do, is if you notice right here, there is a clip here on either side that clip into this one piece and then to this bent rod, and this took a lot of trying to get it. It's very precariously put on. I think there could have been a better technique, and in fact I'm going to find a technique that's better than that. But other than that, as I said, this could truly pass as a real Lego set, because it's just so well thought out and well designed, and all the pieces fit together really well. And so after you build the hull and you start building up, you can see inside on the lower deck there is the cockpit, and then there is a top level, and this is where someone would drive the boat and do a lookout for fish. And in Jaws, Hooper, which is played by Richard Dreyfuss, he drives the boat. So Quint hunts the shark, Hooper drives the boat, and Chief Brody, who is the officer of Amity, he actually does the chum. And this bucket, as you can see, is actually the chum, and this is what they throw into the water because the scent of the blood attracts the great shark. This chair that you see right here, strangely enough, was not part of the design. There is a piece, but the original design by Arconoide didn't have a seat, and this is where a fisherman would strap himself in to catch a marlin or a big game fish. And so what I did is I just created this very simple chair for now to stick in, so we have a fishing chair. I do plan on making that more robust in the future. Another really great feature is if you look at the front of the Orca, there is a shark's jaw, and this is done with bull horns, two bull horns shaped together, so it's really kind of a clever design. On the other side you can see that there is place for a spear, there is a spotlight when you go fishing at night, there are some life preservers on either side, there's also two fishing rods that you can use that sit on either side. Now in the original movie there was near the end they go into a cage into the water, and so this right here mimics that cage. It's only one piece of a cage. I think if he tried to put all the pieces to the cage, it would have kind of taken up too much space. So this is kind of a nice imagery of the cage, once again going to the details. And then you'll see back here, he actually even has some oxygen tanks. And the reason why oxygen tanks are important is because they play a vital role in the movie. So this fishing vessel looks absolutely fantastic in the details. It also has an anchor that attaches here, and it has this mast with all of the rigging. Now, this mast is made of a lot of different pieces, and inside there is this tube that goes all the way down to the bottom. Now, this tube actually cost about $7 to $10 on Bricklink, and I didn't want to spend $7 to $10 for a tube, so I put 2 or 3 smaller tubes and rods in there so that I could build this up. This is kind of jury rigged to mimic what the original model had and to save money, but I think it still came out pretty nicely. There's also additional rigging that comes up to this Technic piece, and there's a 1x1 stud that goes in here that holds the rigging together, but it's very difficult to stay in there. I don't know if it's a small design flaw or it just doesn't work for me, so I left that rigging out. But as you can see, this ship looks absolutely fantastic. It was a joy to put together. I really enjoyed it. There was zero repetitiveness. The details of the ship are absolutely fantastic. It even has what are called cleats, and these cleats are when you tie ropes when the boat is docked at the shore, or if you want to drag something along the bottom. There's just loads of detail in here. And it looks so much like the real boat that it's really fantastic. So in addition to building the boat, it's also a diorama, so there's a bottom piece to it. I've seen a few different idea sets in other Orca Jaws boats where they build this giant shark, and I always thought the shark was a little over the top. So I thought this one was the best MOC out there. This is by far the most detailed Orca boat out there, even more so than the one that was originally an idea set. There is a platform for this of the diorama, and you begin putting all of these clear blue and clear white tiles together. And as you can see, there's an outline for the boat. And as you can also see, there are clear cheese wedges that make waves and obviously the wake of the boat. And what's really amazing is that there is the outline of a shark under the water. And I thought this was really clever. And how this is done is there are studs that are put onto the base and are shark colored, and then these clear pieces are put on top so that you can see the gray color and outline of the shark, but it's actually kind of hidden at the right under the surface of the water. And this is obviously a rear wing of an airplane that is gray and shark colored. So it actually has the boat and the shark coming behind it, which I think is just really an awesome diorama. The boat looks fantastic, and the base of it is a really clever way of showing a shark without building this kind of large shark that then has to sit somewhere. So this is an incredible display piece. Everything about this boat, the details are really spot on, and so I really enjoyed building this. I plan on building a lot more boats in the future because this just kind of re-sparked my love of building boats. And you know, I grew up by the ocean. I grew up on the east coast of America, and we had boats and we went fishing as a child. And so this brought back so many memories of going fishing with my grandfather and watching Jaws, as I said, being the first movie I saw in the movie theater. So this was a bit of nostalgia, and it's just a really great build. Now this model, what you see here, is what you get from Arconoide as far as if you buy the instructions and the pieces. But I really couldn't have this boat without having the main characters of Jaws. And on this boat, there are three main characters. There is Quint, who is the gnarly sea-weathered captain of the boat who wants to hunt the shark. And so I made a minifig of him. He has the mutton chops that Quint has, and he has the green hat and the green pants. In the movie, he has a green shirt, and so a camo torso would work better. So I am planning on purchasing that. So Quint usually sits up here, as I said, because he's the one who's hunting the shark. And so he sits out here with his spear gun. And then there's Hooper, who is played by Richard Dreyfuss. And Richard Dreyfuss has kind of curly blonde hair and a goatee. And so I created this minifig, which is kind of like Hooper. And I took the tousled hair from one minifig and I bought a regular, or I had a regular gray torso. And of course he has a beard and blue jeans. And he's a marine biologist who comes to investigate when the shark attacks begin happening. And since Hooper drives the boat, Richard Dreyfuss sits up here. And then there's Chief. He has a black shirt on, and so I gave him a black torso. And since he's the first one who notices the shark when it pops out of the water, when he says the classic lines, "I think we're going to need a bigger boat," and I gave him a minifig face that kind of looks a little bit frightened. And so he's the one sitting here with the chum. He's here doing the chum. Hooper's driving the boat, and Quint is here ready to fight this great white shark. So here's my diorama of the Jaws Orca boat. It was a blast to put together. It is one of the highest quality MOCs I've ever put together. You can look at it and see the details are incredible. I had a lot of the pieces and then I went to Bricklink and bought the rest. It was less than $70. And so to buy all these pieces and have this diorama for under $70, $80 is phenomenal. It's going to go up in the scent display case behind us. It is arguably the best MOC I've put together in the last 6 months. That's my video for today. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.